I'm here today with Anthony Lowenstein, a criminal attorney out of Marin County in California. Welcome, Mr. Lowenstein. How you doing?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I had a couple of quick questions to ask you. Let's get right into it. First question is, what made you choose to handle DUI cases, and why do you practice this area of law?
Well, I find it rewarding helping others who get themselves in this situation. Most people who do really require a lawyer to help them get the best possible resolution out of this terrible circumstance that has befallen them, and I really enjoy helping others through it.
And how many cases have you handled, and in what time period?
I've been doing DUI practice for a little over 15 years now and have handled at least a couple hundred cases at this point, so quite some experience.
Okay. And what would you say is your typical DUI defendant's circumstance? Are they a first-time offender, repeat offender? Are they more men or women?
You know, there is no typical DUI client. One thing about DUI cases is that it's totally an equal opportunity employer. It affects everyone from young students to elderly people, poor working men to rich CEOs and everyone in between. So there is really no typical DUI client. That being said, there's a certain small percentage of people who are actually have alcoholic problems. And I deal with them, and they're about 10%. But 90% of people are just people who got unlucky and had or exercised bad judgment on one particular night, one particular time, and are otherwise very good law-abiding citizens.
Okay. And of the clients you have, are a lot of them close to that .08 limit, or are a lot of them higher than that?
Actually, only a small percentage are right at the limit. A great many of them are significantly above the legal limits. So I would say about a little over half are well above the legal limit, and you have a good percentage that are close as well.
Does that say anything to you about the limit, as it being too low or just right?
The limit's probably just right. I have a breathalyzer that I often show clients to give them an idea about what constitutes being excessively drunk and impaired to drive. And the limit's set at a point where a person probably shouldn't be in a car.
Okay, very good. Of the cases you have, what percentage have gone to trial versus settled out of court?
The vast majority, well over 95% of cases, settle and don't go to trial. Only a very small percentage of cases go to trial. However, most aggressive lawyers like myself treat every case as if it's going to go to trial in terms of a very aggressive, strong defense, because doing so allows it to settle for a better resolution for the client.
Okay. And this leads right into, what's unique about the DUI laws in your particular county and the cities that you service?
Well, I practiced typically in the Bay Area and surrounding counties in California, which have fairly strict DUI laws and a very regimented DUI system. And I try to make my clients receive less of a license suspension than the laws in this county or in this state and the typical surrounding counties provide. Every state is different, but in California the legal limit's .08, and there's a certain prescribed amount of jail time and license suspension that every county seeks in the prosecution. So that's more specific about California law.
Okay. So what would be your best tip when someone's just been pulled over and they've been drinking and the police are about to walk up to the car? What should and shouldn't they do?
The best thing is to be cooperative and to speak and volunteer as little information as possible.
I guess with the idea that the police are not your friend, and the more you tell them, the more it's going to hurt you.
Exactly.
Okay. So what kinds of help can your firm provide to people arrested for DUI? What kinds of things can you do?
The best benefits that I, as a lawyer, can offer my clients is to reduce, to actually eliminate or greatly reduce and minimize the amount of license suspension time. Typically, the court can require as much as a 4-month, or the DMV can require as much as a 4-month license suspension, and I can reduce or eliminate that completely, as well as eliminate or reduce jail time from as much as 2 to 10 days to as little as 1 day community service.
Okay. And what kind of success have you had in getting this kind of stuff done, with your cases?
Great success. I tend to, I find that generally as long as you're willing to put in the work and address the framework of it, I get success in almost every single case.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So another question: is it wise to take a DUI case to trial, or is it far better to settle beforehand if it's a normal case, non-aggravated, nothing unusual about it?
As stated, the only time you absolutely need to take a case to trial is if there's absolute lack of proof beyond reasonable doubt that the person is guilty of DUI, or if it has some terrible collateral consequence, such as a person losing a job or a qualification. Otherwise, I simply approach every case as if it's going to go to trial, and in so doing, as long as you are able to acquire a much more favorable resolution that's acceptable to the client, then you've accomplished the best you can do. And at that point, it's wiser to settle.
Okay. So what have you learned about people's behavior and their reaction to the whole DUI process of being arrested and prosecuted?
Well, understandably, most people are quite indignant after being arrested for DUI because many of them before have no prior exposure to the criminal justice system and are a little bit shocked that suddenly their conduct has become criminalized and they've been treated as such. Moreover, people are, very, very intimidated by the legal process and the possibility of a criminal record and conviction. However, what immediately affects and shocks most people is simply the driver's license suspension, because in most areas of California, driving is required part of life in order to work and to run your personal life. So most people fear driving license suspension greatly. So that's the reaction that most people have. And that's one of the things, again, that a lawyer can help do is help dispel the mystery and the confusion of the DUI process and seamlessly streamline it for the client to get their license back, get their record back, and get their life back on track as quickly and as effectively as possible.
Okay. Okay. So do you feel personally like DUI punishments are too harsh, or are they too lax, and why?
I think that the DUI regimen is understandable in California because there is a tremendous amount of alcohol-related accidents in the United States. In fact, more people die in the United States in alcohol-related traffic accidents than in both wars in Afghanistan and Iraq combined annually. So it's understandable why the laws are strict against DUI. At the same time, one thing that I strive for and respect in California laws is that they're more based to educate and rehabilitate people, to make them into more responsible, safe, sober drivers, as opposed to just punish them. And I think that rehabilitative, educational part of the law's arm is the most helpful part.
Okay. So what do you see as the future of DUI law in California?
I see that, the idea of educating and rehabilitating people, so spending less focus on punishing them and more emphasis on simply educating them and rehabilitating them and getting them back on track as safe drivers to be the future of DUI law. And any lawyers who can help do that, minimizing the impact on clients, will be helpful to clients in that process.
Okay. And then what would be the ballpark cost, to have an attorney assist you with a DUI from start to finish?
My law office and most in the area typically charge approximately $5,000 as a flat fee for complete representation, both in the courts as well as with regard to the DMV, till the case is completely resolved.
Okay. And I guess lastly, what makes your firm unique in providing DUI defense, and what kind of personal statement do you want to make to all those those future clients watching this video that are thinking about hiring you?
Well, as an extremely experienced and seasoned defense attorney in criminal defense, and in particular within the specialty of DUI, I think that I can offer clients the benefit of my experience and my influence on the system to make sure that their case is handled as aggressively as possible, to the extent that there are valid defenses, those are asserted for them, and to the extent that there are not, their case is resolved with the least possible penalties in the shortest period of time, making it simple, easy, and sure safe for them. That's the best thing that a law office can do, and I feel that I do that for my clients extremely well, and have many grateful clients who go on to never ever have a DUI brush with the law again, and I think that is the best thing that a lawyer can do for his client.
Okay, very good. Thank you for all your comments.
Thank you.